Hello, guys, and welcome back to Relevant Founders, brought to you by Relevant Software. Relevant is an international software development company that designs, builds, and delivers world-class standard products for Fortune 500 companies and promising startups. Today, guys, we've got with me the next guest, Martin, co-founder and CEO at Tymit. How did you come up with the company name Tymit? What does it stand for?
Yeah, we pronounce it Tymit, and it comes from the idea of actually getting at the core of what the solution is that is enable you to time the way you pay for your purchase. So it's kind of like playing that trick. And you see some people actually call it Tymit, some people call it Tymit, but the moment they realize what it is, it creates this, I don't know, fun moment where, oh yeah, now it makes sense. Honestly, I'm personally a believer that you don't need a great name to build a company, but if it's something that inspires you, something that you like, if you can tell a story around it, it certainly can help.
I mean, it definitely makes more sense, Tymit, than Tymit. Tell me, you did mention there that you're not a big believer, obviously, in the name of the company. Some people spend so much time thinking about the name of their company. Is it a waste of time when they spend so much time? Or is it just something that, you just need to get on with the job?
Well, I think that question is connected to, I think, what really is needed to be successful when you run a business. And I think one of the most important things are that you're passionate about what you're doing. You're passionate about your product. You're passionate about your brand. You're passionate about the purpose. Whatever it is, you need to be passionate about it. Because it's a rough road. It's a pretty rough road. And if you don't have that passion somewhere, it's unlikely that you're going to succeed. You're going to more likely to give up. So coming back to the name, if the name is something that inspires you, builds on that passion, it's a way for you to communicate what you're doing. It's a way to bring it up in parties and in conversations with customers, then great. It's a lot better that it's something like that than something dull. Doesn't mean anything, obviously. But in itself, a fantastic name will not build a company for you. It's just another piece.
Why is now the time for Tymit? Why is now the time for Tymit to be alive?
Yeah, I mean, now it's the perfect time because when I decided to start the company, I saw the problem of lack of transparency in controlling credit cards. And people actually using that product a lot. If you think about it, it's one of the most widely used financial services product in the world. In the UK, more than 30 million people use it regularly. A product that hasn't really evolved from the 90s. It's crazy, right? So you have that going on. Then you have other forms of borrowing or lending, whatever you want to call it, like buy now, pay later, also coming into play, in a way, trying to fix some of the problems that credit cards have around lack of control, lack of transparency. But we don't think that buy now, pay later gets into the full answer, because even though they may solve part of the problem, they also create some other problems as well, which we can talk about. So there is kind of this tension in the market, I think, around in financial services in particular, where every experience in financial services has been recreated. The amazing things that the Monzos and Revoluts have done in banking to recreate banking experiences. I think lending, it's still lagging behind, and I don't think we've seen yet lending experience emerge. So these things, it's very much there to be solved. How is consumer lending going to be like, in the next 10 years? How is that solution going to look like? There's so much to solve and figure out that and now is the right moment to come into market with something that gets to what customers needs, that fills the gaps that these products I was mentioning are leaving in the market.
Martin, you said that you really do think that lending is still lagging behind. Why is it lagging behind? What is the reason for this?
Well, because we see specific problems with the most prominent lending solutions. Again, if you look at the credit card, You have people, if you speak to a credit card user and you're speaking to people that not just use the credit cards for earning rewards or paying in full, but use them really to get more time to pay back. Mm-hmm. The experience is horrible. So people would actually be reluctant to recognize that they're actually not paying their bills in full. And they're feeling that they're doing something irresponsible. They're teaching their kids not to use credit cards. They have no sense of how much it's costing them. They're very frustrated about the spiraling costs of debt, how they're being charged fees and interest. And there's so many pain points there. Yet it's probably the most widely used lending products. Then you look at other products out there like buy now, pay later, where it's very difficult to use buy now, pay later everywhere all the time. You end up having to make payments to different providers at different times. These things are being pushed onto you at point of sale, and you end up taking them, probably too many of them, because you're lured in by the easiness of doing that, but there isn't really a tool that helps you manage your debt and sustainably over time. So, all these pain points are there, and there isn't, a solution that solves all these problems that you can use it everywhere, that is responsible, that is affordable, at least that it allows you to make the right trade-offs, right? Do I want to finance this? Yes or no? Do I have to go through a lot of pain to get financing for this? You should get into enough pain that it's not too easy, but it shouldn't be too hard either. So there needs to be a balance there. It needs to be fully compliant. So making sure that customers are going to be treated fairly. So ticking all those boxes, I don't think we've seen a solution that it does. And that's what we are working on. That's what we put all our effort in, making sure that we tick as many of those boxes as we can.
When was it you had this eureka moment where you thought, this is it, this is going to work, this is going to take off?
Well, yes. So that point was, I was in New York. I was doing work for the largest credit card issuer in the world. We were doing a large scale research, speaking to thousands and thousands of credit card customers and personal loan customers. So customers that would have cards, but also would take personal loans. And I got my hands into the results, part of the results of that research that was showing something that to me was mind-blowing at that time. So there were a bunch of people, lots of them, that were going through a lot of pain to get a personal loan of something like $1,000. So they would be walking into a branch, get a paper form. This was 2017, so it's not too long ago. They would fill out a paper form, they would submit it, they would wait for a week to get a decision to get $1,000 at roughly 25% APR. To buy something, maybe go on a trip, or it's a small purchase. We were wondering, why are they not using a credit card? Most of them had a credit card in their pocket. So when we went and speak to them, why are you not using your credit card and you're choosing to go into all this pain to get that money for basically the same rate you get on your credit card? And the top one answer was, because if I do it on a personal loan, I have a plan to pay back. I know what I'm getting into. I know that I pay this stream of payments. There's not going to be any surprises. I know how much it's costing me. If I put it on my credit card, however, I have no idea. I'm afraid that's just going to take out of control. I have no idea how that balance is going to compute against what I already have there, how the interest is going to get calculated, how am I going to get out of it? I'm just afraid that, in 2-3 months' time, I'm going to be sitting on more debt than I'm willing to pay. So they were going through all that pain just to get a plan to pay back and an actual view into the costs of that. And this reason was by far the top reason why this was happening. So to me, there's clearly an opportunity here.
How do you go from one job to another when you have to basically put in 40 hours in this one and 100 hours in, the startup that you're doing? How do you do that?
Yeah, I was putting more like 80 hours on my current job. It's all about motivation, right? For me, I did not have kids at the time. I was single. I had a lot of time, personal time outside of work was fully available to me. So I used that. So I would do it on weekends. I would do it on nights over the week. But to me, it was a passion. So I would definitely, I would do that instead of going for a run or doing something else that otherwise I would be doing. But at the time, at least at that moment in time, it made a lot of sense to me because I was very, very motivated, very attracted to the idea of exploring the opportunities. So it felt like, time very well spent. But it's all about priorities. You just allocate it into your schedule if you feel that that's something that you want to do.
What did it cost you? What has this success cost you? I don't mean money-wise. I don't mean financially. Maybe it has. But I mean, with every success comes some sacrifice in a certain area of your life. What has it cost you? And what did you have to put to the side in order to bring this up? Because I guess that was a 1-2 year journey to get to where you were kind of then able to really say goodbye to that job, hello to this job.
So I think one of the things to understand is when you're starting your own business and running your own business in an early stage startup, it requires a lot of you. So it takes your full attention. So you gotta have almost, you gotta be almost obsessed with it and explore every angle, every thought that comes through your head. You gotta evaluate it, consider it. There's lots to do, which means that that's going to take time, effort, and focus away from other things. Mm-hmm. So it's you got to be ready for that. So definitely, it's going to take time away from family, from friends, from hobbies, from sports. I mean, there's no way, at least no way that I can see it, that you could sort of run a startup as you would just be on a job at 40 hours per week. It just is not. It doesn't work. So that's going to require a lot of extra effort. So it does take a toll a bit on on your personal life. So that's why I always say one of the first things you want to do if you want to jump into this is it's not just your own decision. If you are in a relationship with someone, then definitely it's a joint decision because you're going to need the support of that person next to you. So the very first thing, and this was following advice from a friend of mine that started his own business. The first thing I did when I finally decided, okay, I'm doing this, I'm going to quit and I'm going to start this company, is I spoke to my girlfriend at the time and said, look, I want to do this. What do you think? Because this has got to be something we both do, not just me, because you're going to feel it. And again, if you don't have that support next to you, it's going to be even more hard. So it's something that you have to take on consciously, that the other areas of your life will have to suffer if you want to have what it takes to make a business successful. It was a lot of fun. So and on top of that, yes, we had to also. And once we had something that worked, we started dialogues with the FCA to let them know what we were planning to do.
Interesting, man. I mean, a lot of fun. Those difficult moments for you were a lot of fun, which is exactly how you want it to be.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be like that. And to me, was this saved me. I was feeling a little bit empty on my previous job. I liked it. It was great. It was, based from one of the best companies in the world to work for. But I just felt too detached from the customer, and I just wanted to build something. I just wanted to build a product that made people's lives better, and that felt really rewarding, very real. Sort of building something that people can use and live their lives with. It's really amazing. So that the prospects of doing that, like when I was in my job, that felt like a dream. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden it was becoming real. It kept us going. My brother and I, it's sort of that motivation, that you want, that purpose that you want to pursue. to keep you going, because at the same time you're doing this, you've got your friends progressing their careers, getting promoted, earning bonuses, and life, keeps moving, and you're there, in a small room with 4 or 5 people and no salary and doing this. So you got to have a really good reason to put yourself in that situation.
What has been the difficulties in doing this, and how was your journey in doing this? I guess that was a long process, not something that's straightforward at all. How did you go about doing it?
Yeah, so it's very interesting, because if the other day I was looking at the first slide I created for the initial conversations when I moved from New York to London to join my brother and start Tymit and started having conversations with investors and advisors. And I created this slide with a vision. And the vision was, we're gonna stand up this technology company that is going to create the most amazing installment experience in the credit card. We're there at the middle, and we're going to connect banks, and we're going to connect merchants into this product. Because we all know the challenges of distributing. We can leverage the merchants' brands and distribution. Banks already have a lot of underwriting power. Why don't we just focus on the technology and then partner with these institutions? And the feedback I got back then was, this vision is too hard. If you want to get funded, you're going to have to chunk this into phases, right? You're going to have to go and go out and build something that is smaller and get to the proof points and scale it to that vision. So we said, okay, fine. We're not going to partner with merchants. Okay, we remove that complexity. We're not going to partner with banks. We're going to do the lending ourselves, and we're just going to focus on the middle. And we're going to create this, first installment credit card, and we're going to prove that this is an amazing lending experience. And then once we prove that, then we'll, evolve into partnering.
What did you do to study? What is, better question, what has been the one piece of material, book or something that has given you the most direction in order to use to build your company? Has there been something like this?
Yeah, I didn't get my inspiration from a book, to be honest. It was more from practical experience. I think the number one thing that is most useful is speaking to customers. I know this is going to sound like a cliche, but I honestly, to me, it was the most valuable thing. It was actually getting into that insight of what is really happening, what is wrong, how can that be improved. Understanding how to ask the questions correctly, you're getting clean data, clean insights. It's not only useful because of informing what needs to be done to create something that solves the problem, but also to build the confidence in you and build these unique insights that you need to build your company on. And you need that. I don't think you're going to get those insights from a book. Your book can give you frameworks and methodologies and all of that, but you do need to get to a point where you have a clear insight that nobody has. So that insight can come from many places. In my case, it came from speaking to customers to really understand what was going on. Some of the patterns and the realities of what's happening are hard to read on published data, and you don't need to speak to a lot of them. Some people say you need to speak to 100 customers, could be, but by the time you speak to 20 or 30, you already have a good perspective on what's happening, and then you got to continue. But to me, that was the most important point, particularly at the beginning. Understand people's lives, understand what the gap is, and help you in that exercise of visualizing what the solution could be.
Hey guys, it's me again. If you enjoyed this episode of the show, be sure to press the thumbs up button below. And also, whilst you're there, hit subscribe. Otherwise, you could miss out on all of our interesting content we've got coming your way in the near future. Okay, guys, take care and see you soon.